Wade. So in general, the CARES Act passed last Friday. President Trump signed it on Friday. So we're less than a week into it. A lot of questions. When laws are passed, they're hastily written in a way, and there's a lot of loopholes and gray areas and whatnot. So we're waiting for guidance. So the first thing is everyone, really needs to be patient with this. For example, something we thought was part of the law last night has changed today. We're rushing to get work done. Now we're changing the work. So a little frustrating process. But the CARES Act in general, is being used to help stimulate the economy by putting money back in the hands of small businesses, right? Because small businesses are the engines that run our economy. So in general, who this benefits is anyone from a sole proprietor, you're an Uber driver, you're a freelance marketer, artist, whatever, up until 499 employees. Any business type, sole proprietor, single member LLC, partnership, S corporation, C corporation, not for profit, all included in this, right? So what everyone wants to talk about is what they call the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, Paycheck Protection Loan, some people call it. So think of this as a disguised grant, okay? They want to give you money and they don't want you to pay it back, right? But what they don't want you to do is keep people laid off or lay more people off or reduce their pay. So what they're saying is if you use the money on qualified costs, the money will be forgiven, no strings attached. So at this point, probably everyone's heard of it, but in general, the way that they're going to calculate the Paycheck Protection Loan for you, they're going to look at your average monthly payroll costs, right? So there's been discussion of what payroll costs mean. We'll get into that in a second. They'll take that number, they will add in some other things like group healthcare benefits, employer-funded 401k, contributions, state and local taxes, etc. Mm-hmm. They'll divide that number by 12, multiply it by 250% or 2.5. That is your base loan, okay? You're going to get that loan hopefully in 3 to 5 days after the loan's approved. It's going to go into your bank account. Now, over the next 8 weeks, if you spend that money on payroll, when I say payroll, I mean employee wages, including owner compensation, business rent under a lease agreement, business utilities, business debt that was already incurred before February 15th, the interest on that debt, all those are considered includable costs. So at the end, there's gonna be a reconciliation after 8 weeks. If at the end of the 8 weeks, all that amount is used on those items, the amount becomes a grant essentially, and it goes away. No paying it back, completely forgiven, no strings attached, doesn't affect your credit score, it's not taxable. What else people are asking? So all that stuff goes away, okay? Is ideal. That's the ideal situation, right? It doesn't always work that way. So if the money is not forgiven for one reason or another, you get too much money, you have excess funds, so you don't have enough to spend, it turns into a 2-year loan at 0.5% interest, essentially free money, okay? So very powerful. When the law was signed last Friday, we were told it was 10 years at 4%. So you can see things have changed in a week. So I caution everybody, this is April 1st, Wednesday. A week from now, this could be different. So keep contacting me, keep contacting your CPA, your advisor about this as it might change. Second big thing people keep asking is, do my payments to my independent contractors, my business pays, do they count as payroll? So originally, the interpretation was, yeah, they do. Now, the interpretation that came out from the SBA is, no, they don't. The independent contractors themselves, that 1099 marketing person you pay, they can go and apply for this on their own, and they can get their own paycheck protection loan, okay? Do I agree with it? Not necessarily. That is not the final word. So people need to have a little bit of patience here, because that was originally included, now it's excluded. And now, as of about 3 p.m. today on April 1st, one of the SBA directors had an article in the Washington Post saying, we're going to come out with detailed regulations by Friday addressing this issue and some other issues. So stay tuned there. Just be prepared, but I urge people to stay calm, don't freak out, don't have a reduction mindset. The money will be there. People are afraid it's going to sell out, and unfortunately that's been because some people are trying to drum up interest to make money on this. So calm down. I think that everyone's working as hard as they can to get this done. Now, everyone also asks, what am I going to need to submit? So the SBA released a sample application. Everyone needs to be careful, because April 1st, on March 31st, yesterday, they released it around 2 p.m. Since then, that application has changed 3 times. So if you fill out application 1, they're not going to accept it. It keeps changing. It says sample on it. So people want to fill it out now, be my guest, but you might be filling it out several times and they keep changing it. The bankers I've talked to have said they've been told by the SBA they are fiduciary responsible to audit your payroll costs. What does that mean? They are going to look through your payroll reports, your ADP, your Gusto, Paychecks reports. They're probably going to want, the banker I talked to said he personally wants tax returns as well. That's just what their bank's requiring. Every bank's going to require their own thing. They want to get this money out as soon as possible. They're not going to hammer you, but they have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you're calculating this correctly, because it's not simply saying I paid $100,000 in wages. You need to exclude any employee over $100,000, their excess compensation. So if they make 105, only the first 100 counts. That goes for, if you have 50 employees, you need to go employee by employee and annualize that number. You need to make sure that you're including group healthcare costs, including employer only 401k, not employee 401k contributions. You need to add in state and local FUTA taxes, mass unemployment tax, mass family paid family leave act. So there is a lot of work to do to get this ready, because if you submit a package to a lender that is nothing more than a jumbled mess of papers, you're going to the back of the pile. They've told me as such. If you have something cleanly presented, yeah, they're going to probably push you through, hopefully. So I think the takeaways in the Paycheck Protection Act at this point, it's very powerful. Even if it becomes a debt instrument, it's very powerful. Focus 1 is getting the most money you can by having a good package put together. Focus 2 is going to be the forgiveness portion. They still don't know what they're going to ask for, but at the very minimum, keep track of this money where it goes. Don't just let it go into thin air. Payroll, rent, mortgage, utilities. Keep track of it, because you have to prove it at the end. If you can't prove it, you're not going to get the money forgiven. So that's what you should do. Everyone also needs a plan, because the other thing I keep hearing is, I need to apply Friday, I need to apply Friday. Well, use this situation as an example. If your business physically is shut down by the government, by law right now, which a lot are, your employees have the right to claim unemployment insurance from the state, and now the federal government tax on $600 on top of that. They're making, depending on your state, could be $800,000 or more dollars a week. They are protected, okay? Now, for some businesses, it makes more sense if they can't operate during the month of April. It makes more sense as a financial person. I'm not talking about, the emotional aspect of this. As a financial person, it may make more sense for you to keep those people unemployed for a temporary period of time here. Wait till May, rehire them. There is a clause that says you can rehire employees by June 30th and still get the forgiveness. And now you get 8 weeks starting on May 1st when you're operating. So you're paying people to actually do their job, versus if you got the money now, you'd be using this powerful government instrument to honestly pay them to sit at home. Whereas they can honestly make money from the government a different way. So cut the emotion out of it for a second. Think of it that way. Every business is different. This is an advice we're talking to some dentists about, because they're not allowed to practice. So it makes sense for them, for their employees to collect unemployment for 30 days, then take the Paycheck Protection Loan May 1st, use it May, use it June. Now you're talking about 3 months. The business is covered during this crisis, okay? That's not the same for every business. For some businesses, it makes complete sense to get the money on day one. Float your payroll, float your rent for 2 months. So that's been a question we've been getting a lot. Another question we get a lot is, what if we weren't not in business for 12 months? If you're not in business for 12 months, they're most likely going to look at your payroll from January to February 29th, 2020. Simple average of those two times 2.5. I asked the banker today, he said that's what he's personally looking for. That's what I think they're going to probably look for. Second frequently asked question on this stuff is, what if one, if I haven't run payroll, or two, I'm a sole proprietor, I haven't even filed a tax return yet. That's more complicated. We don't know the answer to that yet, but what we're hearing from bankers and from the SBA is that they're going to release guidance next week on that. Hang on, you probably can't apply until April 10th, but what it probably is going to be is your net business income, what they say is subject to self-employment tax. So that bottom line number, so if you brought in 100, paid 50 on your Schedule C, and you have 50 left over, that amount will probably be your quote unquote wages that you divide by 12, multiply by 2.5. Don't know that for sure yet, but that's what we're hearing. But yes, you do qualify. Almost every business type qualifies Another one I've been hearing is, what if you own rental properties and you file a Schedule E? Do you count? I don't think so, because you're not considered a business. However, if you have a management entity, or you have an LLC in place that you're doing active management of that property, perhaps. Don't have guidance on that yet. I can see the argument for it, because Airbnbs, for example, they're hurting. So I'm thinking they're going to probably end up qualifying one way or the other, right? Another frequently asked question is, what if, so this isn't a frequently asked question, this is me telling people to be careful. What if I've taken in venture capital funding, okay? Special law with the SBA, known as the affiliation rule, essentially says that if you get an investment from a venture capitalist and they say they have control over you, right? So probably means 50% control over you or more. And they go across the road and they invest in company B and they have control of them, they're going to aggregate all three of you together and consider you one company, which could kick you out of being a small business. Because if one VC has hundreds of investments, you are all being added together in the same pool. So my client base, a lot of VC funding. Again, this was a mistake in the law. There's lobbyists trying to fix this as we speak. But as it currently stands, you're subject to affiliation rules unless you're a franchise or a restaurant. So very important. I can't answer that question for you. You need to talk to your lawyer. You're going to ask them about the IRA, which is your investor rights agreement, which was signed when you took the investment. The VC may be able to waive their right to control temporarily to fix this for you. Again, most likely only a problem if it's 50% or greater ownership by a VC or private equity firm. Good to check anyways, because you don't want to miss out on this because of some silly 12th hour mistake in Congress. Okay, so that's something else we've been hearing.
Wow. Okay. So from everything I'm hearing, things are changing by the hour, by the minute. It's very, tough for the average business owner or individual to stay on top of it. Like, that's why I'm so glad I got you. And like, whether you have a CPA, lawyer, both, probably like lean into your advisor on this, because everything's changing and this is coming out to benefit small businesses, to benefit the economy. I know that was a very high level overview, super helpful for me and for hopefully whoever watches this, but your advice is just work with an advisor, right?
Yeah, let me say one more thing before we go. So there is, I don't want to overlook it because it is powerful. There is the EIDL, which is the disaster loan. That is a more traditional SBA loan. Now, if you're in a serious emergency crunch for cash, don't wait. Go for that now. You may get the cash sooner. So that is a personal guarantee loan, 30-year schedule, 3.75% interest. It is a loan, but you can apply streamline. I went through it as an example of my own company yesterday. Didn't click finish, just went through it and see the process. Takes about 10 minutes. You can ask for $10,000 advance of that money that they should send you quicker. And if you end up but you can't use the PPP and the EIDL on the same thing. So if you get that 10,000, you're going to refinance that into your PPP. It sounds confusing, but that is what you probably should do if you need the money desperately. If you can hang on 7 days, maybe, I have patience. It's going to be less confusing in your life. The SBA part, EIDL, a lot more paperwork, formal credit, all that kind of stuff. So, but if you're desperate, you got to do what you got to do. Go for that. Try to get the 10,000, and then you'll have to reconcile it on the PPP side.
Amazing. All right. Well, a ton of value add there. I will say, work with your advisor to navigate these uncertain times, but how you can benefit, how you can stay in business, how you can continue to operate, to even thrive. And appreciate your time, Greg. Is there anything else?
Awesome. No, I encourage everyone to hang tight, have patience. Me personally, we're doing our best to answer everyone's questions. We're getting hundreds of emails from this. Doing our best to get back to everyone in a timely manner, but have patience. Don't be overpressured to get stuff in right away. It's going to be there. Just have patience. You don't want to have a false start, because if you have a false start, you submit something with incorrect information, you're back of the line. So cross your T's, dot your I's, have a plan in place. Don't just try to grab the money. Know what you're going to do with it. Have a plan. And I think everyone just stay safe, keep supporting each other, and we'll get through this.
That's awesome. All right, Greg, appreciate you. We'll wrap it up there. And thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, Wade. See ya.
See ya.